Yes, sir.
Okay, okay, thank you.
You're
So now, as I already told you, our soul of this course is using different tools in software development projects. Okay. Today tools is about documentation. So one of the most important things in all programmings, in all projects is you should document your code properly. Okay. And today, you can have different approach, different methods for documenting your code. You can go from completely manually to use it automatically. But this time, I want to show you a way that you can save your times by thousands of minutes by using automatic tools, which in this case would be Doxygen. Okay, so first of all, I want to show you what do I mean by document, because you might have different type of assumption when I call documents. Let me show you, for example, my uh, screen. I will show you, for example, one of my favorite documents. Let's say maybe many of you heard about, let's say, Python programming. One of the good libraries in Python is Pandas. I want to show you, for example, Pandas documentation. Let's say, uh, just as you see, you can just Google whatever you need, just documentation, and follow the docs. So as you see, by documentation, I mean some kind of help file that helps programmers and or your colleagues to understand what you have done, or even yourself. You see, for example, it shows the structure and the parts of the this library. Also shows you, for example, functions, sometimes example, and so on. So in your mind now it's like look like a website, right? So some of you might say you might think that for creating documentation you have to create it like every part you have to write it in HTML like essential basic, or type it here or here or here. But yes, that's one way. But our aim here is to create such a thing, not exactly the same thing, but such a thing as documentation that can be in different style automatically. So by documentation, I mean some kind of help file that instruct others and even yourself to help with your code. So let's go back. So documenting your code, why it is important? Because, well, definitely, for example, it's really hard to understand a code if no help is given, right? For example, you just see a library and you have to somehow reverse engineer it to understand, okay, by this part, what was his or her purpose? How should I, for example, run this function? So you have to think, reverse engineer, like what was the author's aim to put this variable here. So that's why if we have some kind of document, we can refer it. It's some kind of Bible. You open it and you find your solution. So, and as experience, I've seen even most people don't recognize their own code after some weeks. It happens even for me. Like you write a code, it's in some part, and after a while you become busy with different things because you just suddenly find out how to solve it. And like after a month, even after some weeks, you come back to the code and you see, okay, I don't know what's going on here. So if you have a documentation, you will save your time so much. So even from the other part, it makes it easier for you to share your work. Imagine, for example, I am working with, let's say, Ahmed in a project, and I create some part of code, and he is supposed to create some other part of code. So if I made it, and imagine the cooperation is so big. So I made my own part and I created documentation for it. And for example, my colleague, when see my code, just refer to documentation and understand what do I mean by this variable, what do I mean by this function, and so on. So it makes communication easy, also collaboration in large scale. I don't have to talk to everyone, okay, by this I meant that, by this I meant that. There's a documentation and everyone will follow. So uh, in the second week of our course, we were talking about what is a qualification of good codes, if you remember it. And one of the things is the code could be should be commented properly. It means, for example, you see, you probably now you are, I think you are learning C sharp. You already learned that, for example, in your code, or even in some of your works, some for batch files, I saw that nicely you have commented your script pretty well. So that's one thing that professional people should do. So let's say you are commenting your code, and our idea is to make creating documentation automatically. So that's the idea. Let's use these comments and commenting abilities to create documentation, right? Because these comments are explanation of the code, as you know. So let's find a way, let's make a solution that use these comments and turn them automatically to some kind of documentation for other people to uh, work with. So for that, what do we need? As you know, comments are something personal. For example, you might write it because it's some kind of notes that you put in your, like in your notebook, something like that. That, for example, here I am doing this, here I'm doing that. But if we want to create a standard that we can turn these comments to let's say documentation, we should follow some rules, because, for example, I might talk to myself in my comments in a way, and some other student might put comments in other way, because it's completely personal. But we are saying, let's make a standard. So let's make it like in a way, so it's similar between everyone. And now, based on these comments, using some tools, we can generate some documents. As you see the documents, I will show it all to you later. I'm just now explaining this. So I want to show it in a way, in this style. So I showed you at the beginning some website with documentation of pandas, and you were seeing like it was completely similar, like a website that someone put it here, someone wrote, someone like put examples and so on. So what would be the idea? What would be nice if we can use, as I already explained, I wanted to show it with a meme here so you can like remember it better, that if we can use these comments and use a tool to make it automatically. So imagine, instead of writing and creating all like a help file, some instruction, use the comments and make it automatically. You can, we have actually, this idea is already implemented, and we have different tools for such a aim. Okay. For example, here I'm showing you some tools which are famous. For example, Qt5, QDoc, and Natural Docs, Sphinx, and RoboDoc, and so on. There are many, plenty. And each of them has some kind of weak point and some kind of a strength. For example, Natural Docs, you probably will work with it in your, maybe in your C# core. As you see, for example, it only fully supports C# programming language and basic support for C++. Or Sphinx, here it's basically for Python, but it can support C++ as well, and so on. Or PyDoc, or even DDoc. We have even JavaDoc if you're working with Java. But I want to show you my preferences in documentation generating tools, which supports most of the languages, which is really easy to write, and you can have it for all your languages you're using, no matter if it's C++, C, Python, Java, and so on. So actually, by now you already understood that the first bullet point here. Doxygen is a program that look into your source file and find your comments and then turn them to some kind of documentation. So it's really useful when you're using like object-oriented languages like C++ and like other languages, Python and whatsoever. So it works with many type of source code, unlike the previous one, which are like not completely. For example, you can work with this, but you are limited in some few languages. But this one, C++, C, Python, PHP, Java, and so on. So now we want to turn our comments to documents. So it means the programmer should comment in a special way, in some organized manner, so Doxygen can understand. Because as I say, uh, each person can put their comments in a different way. So now you have to put it in a way that both you and Doxygen will understand. And then it generates HTML code for you and also generates LaTeX or PDF or RTF depending on what you want. But usually the most famous one is creating HTML codes. But as I said, you can generate different type of output as well. So at first I want to select Doxygen, how to install it. Well, it is a cross-platform tool. It means you can use it on Windows, you can use it on Linux, or even Mac. So that's a good thing about it. The website, the official website, I will show it later practically. We will go to this website. It's doxygen.nl, this website you're hearing, you see here. And you just download the Doxygen setup file. And I was checking it like some days ago. It's like almost 50 megabytes, so it's pretty small. And then just as you already know, you press next and accept and install and what so on. And well, if you're installing it on Windows, I suggest you to create it like at C Doxygen. It would be easier later for you for path problems. And you can select like full installation, and you know the how to install. Actually, I don't want to go to this part. And even if you're using Linux, still you can go to the website and it has even have compiled versions. Or if you are using like Ubuntu and Debian based Linuxes, you just simply use sudo apt. It's in repository as well. Sudo apt install Doxygen, and it will be directly installing for you in a second. So that's it. So I told you like what is it, how to install it, and how to use it. Okay. So you see, in Doxygen we have 3 steps. So now you know it only has 3 steps. So step 1 is you have to create a configuration file for your project. What do I mean by that? This is a screenshot. I will show it later for you of one of my projects in just example projects that, you know, for example, usually projects have different parts. Let's say you put your source file in source folder, your documentation somewhere, logs down somewhere, and data somewhere. So at first, you have to create a configuration file. How do we do that? We simply, for example, I'm using Linux. In Windows, you use command prompt of Windows. That's the logic is the same. And you are on this particular, for example, your preferred folder. And here you see, you just run in your command line in your terminal, Doxygen-G. What does G means? Means generate. See, configuration file. We want to make it. We use Doxygen-G to generate our configuration file. So first step is just as simple as you saw. The second step, edit this configuration file. So by default, Doxygen will create some kind of text file for you, and it's auto-generated configuration file. Then there are some variables inside this configuration file, which I will show you. And the aim is to edit the variables, the path inside this file according to your will. For example, here you see my source files in my source folder, right? So I will tell the configuration file that the path is here for source. Go here and find the sources. Then my output is my doc folder. Put the output in my doc folder. Or as I said, you can have the output of HTML, PDF, or whatsoever. You can choose it. Like I want only HTML, for example. You will understand it better when I showed you later. So you can hear, as I write here, like path for your project. I showed you the source file. Name of your project, who is the author, the type of documentation you want, and so on. So first step was create a Doxygen file, a configuration file. We call the configuration file Doxy file. So if you heard Doxy file from now on, it means configuration file. And then we edit it. And then we just run Doxygen, and Doxygen, see, just run Doxygen in your terminal, and then Doxygen will look into your Doxy file, or as I said, configuration file. And based on configuration file, it knows that your source is on this folder or that, and then generates the documentation based on your comments inside your codes. So it means, meanwhile, comments your code in Doxygen style. So the thing is pretty simple and straightforward. So you create a configuration file, you edit your configuration file so Doxygen can understand where is your source file, where is your output, and so on. What is your project name, what type of file you want to generate, and so on. And then you put the comments in Doxygen style in your code, and that's all. Then you run Doxygen, and you will have your documentation just right after. So one good thing about Doxygen is, imagine you created a documentation, and you have your code, and for some reason you change your version 2 to version 3. You change some part of your code. Then you don't have to do everything again. You just change your comments and run Doxygen again. It automatically update your documentation. So that's a smart way to save your time and use your comments with Doxygen to create the output. It will save you many times. And one good thing about it is when you change your code, you have to change your comments as well. And then you don't have to be worried about your documentation. You just run the Doxygen and that's it. It will be updated. Okay. So let's see what is this Doxy file I told you, Doxygen configuration file. It's some kind of text file in human readable form. Like it's a text file, as I said, you edit it. So you might say, okay, how should I edit it? What fields I should edit? Well, technically it has hundreds of lines, but don't be afraid because you don't have to change all of them. You just have to know just few important parts, and you just configure your file once. Then you only work with the comments. You don't have to go it over and over and over. So that's it. First, I want to just introduce you some of the important things that you have to change, or let's say you can change. Input. As I told you, like Doxygen should understand where is your source file. In input, you define the folder that your source are located in. File patterns. What do I mean by file patterns? Well, in your source file, you might have different types of programming scripts, programming codes. Like it can be Python, it can be C++, as you see CPP, it can be C#, it can be header file .h or HPP and whatsoever. So you choose what sources you want to be extracted. So where is it? What type of files? Extract all. So if you can set it to yes or no. If you say yes, it will generate documentation even for the functions and even for the classes that you haven't commented. What you might say, okay, then what's good about it? First of all, it creates you some kind of nice structure. The second thing is it shows you that which parts you haven't commented yet. And now you understand that you have to go to source and comment them. So that's my preference, to use extract all to yes. I will show you later. Then the other important thing is generate HTML. As I said, for example, you can have HTML or LaTeX or whatever, PDF or whatsoever. But if I set it yes, HTML will be created. If I say LaTeX, yes, LaTeX code will be created. You can say, for example, project name and whatsoever. You will see configuration file later. So that's the logic behind it. So I told you, you create your configuration file, you edit your configuration file, and now you have to code your codes in a way that Doxygen will understand. Okay, so if you know, in code we have classes, we have variables, we have functions, and maybe some other things, right? So if you want to code, if you want to put comment for some kind of, let's say, function, you just, if it's it can be multi-line or single line comment. I usually go for multi-line because it supports both, basically. The difference is, you know, if you want the Doxygen to understand your code, you can put it in different way. You can put it like slash and double a star and your code, and then you close it with star slash. So slash double a star code, star slash, or slash star this exclamation mark, or let's say bang, as we in computer we say slash star bang your code, and the same. For single line, so if your comment is just one line, you can put just 3 slashes, and then or 2 slashes bang. So that's it. You see here. So if you want to put your comment before function or variable or class or whatsoever, you just follow this style. So if you want to put your comment after the function, so imagine you're putting your comment after a function. It's your preference to put it before or after. So what's the difference? You just put this small greater sign after as you see, just like the previous one, just with something extra, which is this. And then Doxygen will understand when it see it, it means you meant the previous function. But if you use this one, it means the next function. So it means related to the next function. So it can be for the previous one with this style. I will show all of them to you in practical way. So just now understand the structure. So there are some important comments that inside your comment you should use, and you can use, so Doxygen can understand and create the equivalent, let's say, documentation for you. For example, you can use it in two ways. You can start it with @ or with backslash. I personally prefer @ because it's more clear. It's like it's bigger and it's less likely you make mistakes. So it can be slash or backslash other or @ other. Version, you choose version, date, bug, brief, warning, main page, copyright section, and so on. There are like hundreds of these comments, but we will see the one of like the most important ones together. So these are things that you might work with it, like param, details, return, and so on. For example, param is for showing parameters in your functions. Details, if you want to write details. Return, okay, means what your function is returning, and so on. For example, here there are, as you see, there are some tags. As you see, this is the style I prefer. Like you can put brief, details, other, param, and so on. For a list of them, you can just simply go to this link, and you will see all your comments, which are like hundreds of them. We will cover most important things in this tutorial. So one thing I want you to know that Doxygen is real thing. What do I mean by real thing? It means that many of like good softwares actually are using Doxygen, are creating their documentation using Doxygen. Let's see, for example, some of them. See, now I clicked on it, and here it's showing, for example, some of the companies that are using this creating their documentation using Doxify. It is completely free and open source. For example, IBM International. I think now my connection has some problem. Okay, you see here, for example, they created some kind of documentation, as you see, and like you can discover it and see. So I just want to say many of like real projects, like big projects, big companies are using this software to create their automatic documentation. So, and there are plenty of source out there. I will put it, some of them, and even this file in Moodle. And then don't be afraid. You can just Google, and also it has a manual page itself. You can discover it later. And for example, Doxygen has a documentation itself. So yeah, it's obvious, right? Like a software for creating documentation have to have some kind of documentation. So it shows you, for example, what to do or what to not do, and different things that you might be interested in. So now that we see this practical part and we understand what is our aim, I will show you some like how to work with it, the website, and how to install it, and we will go through what we just like talk now in practical way. So first of all, let's go to download Doxygen. Just simply put download Doxygen, and this is the website. So you can download it via Git repository, which you don't have to, because it's like easier and nicer just to install the binary file. As you already told you, you can go to Windows binary files if you are, most of you I think are Windows users. So you go to Windows binary, and here you just download the last version, and that's it, and you install it, and that's all you need. And this is the binary for Linux, as you see here. And as I said, the simplest way is in Linux is just to use your repositories and so on, just sudo apt, which I told you in the lecture part. But on Windows, as you say, just go to the download part and go to the Windows binary part, and then install it, just this. So that's how we install it. And I will show you how to use it. For example, this is one of my folders in my own computer. And let me move this thing for Microsoft Teams. And as you see, for example, you see a project. This is the style of a project, and you can see a Doxy file here. And but I will generate it from the scratch. There are different things which in each of them I will show you one aspect and so on. So let's say, for example, here now, this is like something uncommented, just a pure source file. Let's see it. For example, here we have a source file. It's HPP. It means like C++ header file. So it's technically some kind of C++. As you see here, we don't need to know about the code and details, because now we don't care about the code and what's it doing actually. We want to know how to put comments for any type of code. So Technically, it's some kind of code for, I just say, like for solving linear equations using Newton methods, but it's only header file of it. But as I said, we don't care about it now. We just want to work how to create documents. So I just wanted to show you, you have some kind of code, and let me close it. And it's in my source folder, right? Okay. Now I will go to open my terminal in my computer. So it's Linux, but the structure is the same. So you have to be in your folder, okay? So I will now, where am I? I'm here in none folder. So I will go to the class, cd class, and here, and then cdex, this name of this folder, and play. So that's it. So if I say ls, you see this the source file. I can see it in a terminal here as well. So I told you that the first step is to create a Doxygen configuration file. And I told you how we create it. I say Doxygen -g means generate. Even you can use Linux manual file. If I write man whatever, like Doxygen, it will show me some configuration and what to do. But now that's not my term. I just want to create it. So I will say Doxygen -generate. That's it. See, done. And here, you see, it appeared. It wasn't here. So it means Doxygen create a Doxy file for me. It says now edit. And so it's pretty straightforward. So it's now edit and configure file and enter Doxygen Doxy file, which is this. So now we are going to step 2, edit our Doxy file. So let's see what's the structure of a Doxy file. As you see here, that's a Doxy file. And you see it has many lines which are created automatically. But we will go to the one of most like important things that you need, because you don't have to change all of this, else it wasn't auto-generated. So you see these which start with this number sign, these are like comments, but and each of them explain what is the thing that you are going to change. These are things, variables, and things that you are going to change. So for example, here, project name. Let's change it, for example, to UTEB class, right? So now my project name is this. A project number I don't want, like project brief. Let's say this is a simple project as an example. That's it, okay? Project brief, sorry, I put it here. So it should be here. As I say, this is project number. Project brief, it means like a brief description of the project. Here, as you see, you can, and many of them are optional. Yeah, it shows like what is the next variable that you have to change, and you can change it. So it has some kind of help inside it. And one of the most important things that you have to know, for example, I have to tell Doxygen that my source file is in this src folder. It cannot understand. So there is a tag. Let me search it because it's quite big. It's called input tag. See here, simple. It's written here that it's, for example, it should be like some kind of path to your project. So here, this is input. This is what I want to change. And I want to like say, go and search inside src file. So I will put here .src. In Windows, you put equivalent. I can simply even put the src. Sometimes you might have sources in different folders. For example, one is in src and one is in codes. How can I separate it? Just put a space, and for example, if you have a code folder, just put another one. But now I don't need it. I only have source file, which is here. Okay, so for example, it says it's UTF-8, which I don't care. And the other important thing is what kind of file extension inside this folder it should search. As you see, my is HPP. HPP, as I told you, is a header file for C++. So by default, it searches for C, C++, Java. As you see, it supports many languages, unlike the other document generating tools, which only supports few. It supports many of them. And if you don't want you can simply delete it. But I just leave it as the way it is because I only have a HPP, which is already included here. So that's it. So I have input here, and I can even have set output. Let's see. I should output directory. You see, output directory means where do you want your. You see this? See this? And let me move it a bit here. For example, see, for example, this project, it has, for example, documentation in doc folder. It says, where should I put the documentation files? So if you only have if you want to put it in a specific folder, you just can simply write it here. I want to put it in doc folder. Else, you can even leave it free. It will generate it directly here. So that's it. So now you know how you should put input file. You can choose output file, but if you don't, it's all fine because it will generate it directly here. And what type of file you want to actually search, like C++, which I said is file pattern. The other thing, for example, you want your code to be HTML, documentation to be HTML or LaTeX or so on. For that, I just simply search I think it's generate-html. You see, simply the default value is yes. So if it was no, I would have changed it to yes, but now it's yes. Or even like generate, let's say LaTeX. By now you know at least what is LaTeX. So same here. For example, sometimes you say, oh, I don't want LaTeX. You just simply put it no. Okay. But now I just leave it yes. And that's it for now. As you see, that was the most important things that you have to choose: input, output, if you want LaTeX, if you want HTML, and so on. So I just, as you see, there are many things you can read each of them, but usually, technically, you don't need all of them. You just change what you want. So now it's search from source, and it will put the output inside doc file. So let me save it, and let me close it. So that was my file, right? So I generated it with this comment, then I edited it, and now I want to run my Doxy file so it can create a documentation based on this code. But as you see here, I don't have any comments yet. So I will change something here. As I think I told you in tutorial that there is a field called extract all. Extract all will even extract the things that you haven't commented. So I will put it here, extract all to yes, and then save it, and then close it. So at first, I will show it to you what would be the output. Then slowly together with even other examples, I will show you simply how you put the comments there. So here I would say like Doxygen. Doxygen what? The Doxy file I created here. So I put just notice that now I'm in this folder. Some of you might, for example, say write something and it says, for example, it doesn't exist because it should be exactly the file that exists here, and you should be in the path of the folder here, no matter if you're in Windows or Linux, or if you are not, you have to put the path. But the simplest way is just be inside the folder, open a terminal or open your command line here, and then run Doxygen. So I would say Doxygen. and my doxy file, which is this. So that's it. So it created for me. And see here, boom, it created here. I told you that my output was doc folder. I put it doc and I said, you can put it, and if you don't, it simply creates HTML and LaTeX file for you. So I will go for HTML, and it's basically some kind of website with index.html. You have to run the index one, and let me run it and see. As you see here, it's pretty nice, but now it's empty. But you see here, UTB class documentation, because I put my project name UTB class, so it automatically it's created here. And also it shows, for example, class lists. For example, what is this? As I will show you that you see in source here we have a class, and we have namespace, and so on. As you see here, here we have classes, namespace, and so on. And here it automatically generated this for us, and you can click on it and see, but they are empty here. And even you can go to the file list and see this is our file. Once again, I will show you in source folder. So here, as you see it automatically extract functions. For example, this is the functions. These are the, let's say, parameters of the function. Let me show you the code. You can see it easier. You see here, for example, math result function. Let me here show you, for example, math result. So as you see here, this is, for example, let me go to the function math utils. You see here, this is the namespace and math results and math solver, and let me find the math func. You see here you have the function, and it automatically, for example, it just extracted this here. You see math function here and math function here. So it's basically create this, and you can click and link it together and show if it's void or whatever, or even what is, let's say, here you see, let me move it a bit above. I think so. Here you see, for example, doxp. Let me show you dox. You see, it's some kind of, as you see here, like function documentation. It automatically shows just find this and put it in a nice way for you, that each, for example, this is double, this is this, and so on. So if you put extract all, it automatically like generates some kind of documentation, even though it's not explain anything. It's just create a structure for you. So far, so good. Let me close it, and then, sorry. So here, for example, I want to show you like a simple file, other file. As you see now in this one, which we were in this example, and we have now doxy file and documentation and source file. In this one, which is again, it's plain. And this is just a very simple C++ code that just calculates the number of digits in some string of numbers. So that's it. And let's see, for example, how can we create for this one. Okay, again, I will close it. And now I'm in this folder. I should switch to this folder. So let's go. It's called calc or calculator. CD here and CD calc. Okay, that's it. So I have a source file. Again, how do I generate a doxy file? I put like doxy file, doxygen -g. That's it, created. This time faster. We will, instead of my project, we will say like test for class. And brief, we don't need brief here now. The most important, for example, output would be I want it to be in doc, and input folder. So I'm just repeating it so you can understand easy. Input tag. So I put it, for example, my input is source. So I put it here, src, or even this style in Linux, src. So both are correct. And file patterns, it's automatically, so I don't change it. So that's it. And I want check if generate HTML is set. Yes, it is set. Okay. And then I will search extract, extract, I think, extract all. I think I'm extract. Why I'm extract. Sorry.
TRAC.
Yeah, I found it. Yeah, sorry. I was, yeah. So I would put extract, yes. So as you see, this can be happen. Thank you. And I put it yes. Extract all. Uh, Even you can change the name like HTML output. You saw, for example, in previous one, the folder was HTML. You can change it, but now there is no need. So now you know how it works. So we set our input, which is source file. We set our output, which is our doc file. We check that we want HTML. And then we said we want to extract everything. And then I put like just this, save it, close it. And now I will create a Doxygen documentation for myself. So Doxygen, Doxy file. That's it. You see, this doc folder created. And I will go for HTML and index. See, it is empty. And file list, it is just do, you see, it's simpler. And it has a, let me move it here. It has a, like the functions of this document. Let me show you again here. The source file. So this is our source file. For example, we have some functions. Just don't care about the code, just about the documentation. Like do something, number of digits, and see here, do something, number of digits here. And functions, as you see, here are nicely created for us, even without any efforts. So do something will go there, number of digits will go there, and so on. So as you see, our main page now it's empty. Now let's comment in Doxygen style and see how it changes. So this is, let's say, so this is the normal type of comments that you have it for yourself. For example, include section, prototype section. You can just delete it or simply put it here. At first, I want to create something nice here and show you the tags, which I already mentioned in my tutorial part. So, for example, at first I told you for style, for Doxygen style is slash star star, sorry, slash star star. You see, all of them will turn to the Doxygen style, but I will just put it here. So between this, everything will be Doxygen style. I told you, even if you would have like do it this way, it would be fine. So no different, but I prefer that preferences this way. So some of things that we can change, I told you, for example, let's say order of this file. And I said you can start with backslash, this is backslash, and put like order, or simply you can put @ sign. I like @ sign. As you see, it's more clear. For example, I would say @ sign other. Who is the other? Let's say, for example, David, just simple name, David Smith. And what is the version? Version would be like 2 points, and just simple. I just want to show you. And brief. Yeah, brief, for example, here you write a brief explanation of your code. For example, this is a test course of Doxygen for the students. Okay, so it's like brief. And even you can have a detail. For example, details. Yes, I wrote it right. And then, for example, if you want to learn how Doxygen comments work, you can simply go on the website, right? So that's it. Even I can put some, let's say, date. Yeah. Date, for example, I say today is March, let's say 8th, whatever you want. Just a name, just a date. So that's all. And or even you can put like 2020. That's fine. And you can put even sometimes your code might have a bug. You can put bug, for example, if you maximize the code in Ubuntu, it's not right? In Linux, it might crash. I just want to show you you can put, or even warning. For example, yeah, warning. For example, you should use this code, sorry, at your own risk, let's say. And copyright, for example, you can even put some copyright. This is GNU public or MIT public, public, yeah, whatever. That's not the like case sensitive, and that's it. And as you see, the main page here is empty. I want to put something here, like at the first glimpse, my user can see. So I will put like there is a code called main page. Simple. So main page, and for the main page, I will put a title like the UTB class U12. Let's say just something. Okay. And I can create some sections. So I put, for example, for section you use section, and you can put a label for section, intro section, and intro section and introduction, let's say. And now you can write something. It's introduction. This is the intro code. I don't want to put time on this part, which is completely subjective, and you can change it. So you can have section. Let's create another sections. Let's put like section compile. Imagine I want to teach them how to compile it. For example, I put it compilation. You have to download the source and so on. Let's say just even I can create subsections. For example, for this section, I create a subsection. I would say subsection. Yeah, subsection, and step 1. Step 1, install tools for compile. Or subsection 2. Even here, sorry, subsection. Even here, I can label them like this introsec or compile sec, but you don't have to. So step 2, run make file. Just example. So that's it with sections and subsections and so on. And now I can close it, as I already did, I think, here, and I will save it. So see, I'm saving it, and let me put it in a nice way. And here, sorry, okay. I put it here, and now I will, as I said, you just change the code and you repeat this process. I just put Doxygen, Doxify. So now my documentation should be updated. See? See here how nicely it changed? The things that I put here, let me shift it here. As you see, I put it here, like David Smith is the author, David Smith is the author, the UTB class is like the main page title here, and here now it's here, this course is, and as you say, the sections, for example, compilation, this course is for that, this is for this, and run your makefile. So that's it, as you see. And now if I go for the, because I put my browser a little like in half page, it's a little broken, seems like broken, but it will be fine. And, but as you see, it was kind of introduction. It was kind of introduction. But I want, for example, you want to say, okay, I want to make documentation for do something part or for number of digits part. I told you that you can put it either before or after the part or element you want to code. So simply, let's say I will choose one of them. Let's say, for example, here, right? Here is like, let's say, some kind of number of digits, right? Let's put it here. So I love to put spaces everywhere because I think it's makes codes more clear. So I want to go in multi-line style. So here. So now let's say, for example, I want to talk about this function. As you see, it's like number of digits. It gets n as a parameter and do something that we don't care for now and return something like number of things. But I want to just put some explanation. For example, I say put return, it's return let's say integer or whatever, right? And I want to talk about the parameters, like I would use param, okay? For example, param, this param is like, let's put, it has more parameters here. So I will put it here because I think it would be nicer for you to understand. I don't care about this one. I put it here. It doesn't have return, so I don't put the return, as you see. Or even I can put say return, and I put void. It doesn't return anything. And parameters, for example, I want to talk about these parameters. I would say like this, and let me just copy paste it here for sake of time. And this part, let's say, gets positioned position of the number. As I said, I don't care about the details, but I just want to show you how it works. So as you see, I just put it here, and since it is this style, it means that before the function. If I want to put it after the function, I just put it this and move it here down. But now it's before the function. So let's see how it changes. I would put it here, and it should be changed here, right? This I think I changed do something. Yes, it's just you should have seen something here. So let's go and see what will happen. Doxify. So that's it. And let's refresh our page. See, do something, returns void, parameters. For example, number of this part get. So as you see, without any effort, I create an HTML file. And even if, for example, I change it later, let's say just 1 week later, 2 months later, or whatsoever, it will be just, I just run as you see, it's just simply, at first you might think, oh, it's like, it might be difficult or something, but as you see how it helps you, you just, once you create your Doxy file, and then then simply you edit it and then you comment it and whatever, then you change your comment and just repeat this part again and it will automatically update it. So this is it here. And if I wanted to put it after, as I said, sometimes you want to put it after, then it should have been like this. But now I prefer it to be before. So that's it. I wanted to show you the basics of it. And now I think by now you understand how the logic and how it works. And now I will show you some examples which are, because if I want to comment all of them, as you already see, it takes like many times. For example, there we have uh, already many. I have some examples I want to show you. For example, here it's already created a Doxy file. You can open it and edit it, whatever. It's already created, and docs is where your HTML created. Even you can see here you have your text file, LaTeX file. By now, at least you understand what is LaTeX file. Maybe you're not expert by now, which I don't expect, but usually, but you work with HTML only for documentation. And then the source file. This is the first thing that we saw. And as you see here, it is now commented here. For example, let me show you some examples. For example, here, it's a namespace, right? And by now, you know this, when it's before something, it means it's related to it. You already know what is brief. For example, contains fundamental stuff, let's say whatsoever, blah, blah. And if you want to put it single line, you simply, I showed you in the tutorial part, that you can put a single part as well with just 3 slashes, and it will assume for this one. And as you see, for example, for this, you can simply, or even, so you can put it single line, or even you can go and put, let's say, multi-line, no matter. So assume that, for example, here it put details, brief, and it has many, let's say, many comments, which already showed you that if you go to the website, you have, but you already know parameters and so on. So as you see this code, I just want to show you now how and nicely, like if you put a time, nicely commented code. So see, no one create the documentation now, but it just commented. And now what happened? We will check how would be the documentation would look like, right? So still HTML, and let me find the index file here. And so as you see, this is the, let me put the code here so you have better understanding. Source file, let me put it here, and okay, that's it. I will put it here so I can see it easier. So as you see, for example, other, here, there I put, say, like, let's say David Smith, but here you can put whatever you want, as you see. And version, which you already know this part, and it created here. Also, it has like namespace, list of namespace. Here you can see, for example, let me say namespace, you see? For example, this is namespace, and here this is namespace. It includes base, here. And here you see brief, contains fundamental type definition used by project. Contain, but so this is actually create based on this. Or let's go to the files and file list and see with the details I want to show you. For example, let's say DoxyPy, or I will find it equivalent here, Doxpy. You see here, if you comment it here like this, it generates whatever you want. For example, you might see it as a new note. C function with C link. See here it puts in notes like this, so it's here. Parameter in, parameters in, and it explains, as you see here, explains here. In brief, it's a C++ implementation of this, and you see here. So it's really simplify creating your documents very easy. Even sometimes you can see example of codes. Let me show you, for example, at end code, for example here. If you see, for example, this one is related for templates. Let me find template here. I think it should be here. You see here, as you see, the first documentation of I showed you, for example, it is one of the best things in Python. And now we simply create something similar here. But I mean, the logic, we already, before that, we commented this here. You see, if I put @ code and then finish it with end code and put some example in my documentation, it will show something like this. So for the users, I don't want to teach all of these comments for you, but I just want you to know the logic, because Doxygen is like it has hundreds of these comments, but you usually need the important things like return, param, and so on. For example, here, it's important for your customer or for your colleague to know what is your parameters. For example, parameters fun. Here, you for example, let me for example see you here now. Instead of fun, nonlinear function, I have changed it to linear function, for example, or something which is obvious. Let me say, I don't know, Zelin city. As I said, it's nonsense here, but I just want you to show you the how it will be changed. So then I will go here, as you see. I will go to the example. Example, okay. As you see, I have my Doxy file, and I put like Doxygen, Doxy file. So now here, if I refresh it, it should be Zelin city. You see? So it means, I just wanted to show you how it works. So it means when your codes is changing, simply your documentation with a one command, it will be changed and so on. So that was the logic of this tool, which, as you already understood, you have some key points, and the most important things are brief, other, parameters, return, and so on. And you can create a main page and explain about your code, version, date, warning, copyright, introduction, code, debug, and whatsoever. Even you can use HTML code inside your, for example, here, you can like make them with B tag. I don't want to go to detail. With B tag, you can even like make them bold, but you can find it easily. So that was the thing that we wanted to cover here. Let me go back to the software, and now I think that was the basic. And one thing I wanted to tell you, that by this afternoon, not now, by this afternoon, I will put on Moodle a simple source file, not this one, of course. And it's not coded, it's not commented, like, let's say it's something plain. Yeah, something plain. But here we make it, but let's say you will see something without any comment. And I want you to use Doxygen to try to install it at first, and then comment it, and send me your commented code. So, but you will find the explanation in Moodle as well. So just wanted to tell you, by the afternoon, before night, you will see it. And I want you to see the Moodle. Well, one of the things I want you to take the, let's say, assignment seriously, first of all, for the sake of credits. And the second thing is because at the end, you will have a project that you have to, as I already say, you have to solve it as a group. You might need to know these things. And some of you already nicely created some of the files like batch script and so on. So I just wanted to tell you once again, just see through it, search through it, and ask whatever you need. So I will turn on my screen and stop sharing. Uh, so, if anyone has any questions, want to ask, I am here to ask.
Thank you, Susina.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you for attending.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Thank you so much.
I hope you used it. And even if not now, like later, you wanted to, if you wanted something, let's say, some questions you had, just email me simply, and I will try to answer them as soon as possible. So that was for now, and thank you for your attendance. I know this time it was a bit longer, but it was a really useful tool, so it was important for me for you to understand it and know it. So have a good day and see you soon.
You too. Thank you.
Welcome. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Bye.
Thank you.